Surely happiness can be found. Surely there's someone for me. Oh, who cares? Yes, who cares for me?
Good to see you, Hunter. The purpose of this video is to show you the very basics of the animals in the Hunter Classic. When you start your hunting sessions, all the animals are thrown into the map. This is called spawning. They will all start at the very beginning of the map. The game will then virtually move them around in order to create all the tracks and also to send them to unpredictable places. So this will ensure that you will not find the animals in the same place all the time. The game will not replace any shot animals. This is even true for migrating animals like the reindeer or the waterfowl. Even though they enter the map and they leave the map, the next time they come around, this is from a fixed reserve of animals. There's not going to be any more animals even if you shoot some. So the number of animals will decrease over time as you go through the hunting session. But even a group of 8 players in a multiplayer party wouldn't be able to clear an entire map. Simply because there's not enough time. The game will end, the hunting session will end at 7 p.m. and then you will start a new day. When you start a new day at 5 in the morning, a complete new set of animals will be spawned. So you have the full amount of animals again. Now, how can you find the animals? There's basically 3 ways for finding them. The first way is you follow the tracks that you find on the ground. The second one is you listen for calls and then follow the calling location. And the third is simply by looking around, by glassing around, trying to spot some animals in the woods or in the open. Then of course you want to be ready for when you encounter the animals. So one of the first things to do always is to get your weapons ready. This is the 243 that you have. So this is what the tracks look like. You see this little arc and you can simply click it. And what you see already here on my HunterMate, you can see a lot of information. It's a white-tailed deer, it's roaming. The reason why I see age, gender and weight estimations, this is because of the tracking level that I have. The tracking skill is something that accompanies you through the game. You have a tracking skill for every single animal. The more you track, the higher your skill. And then over time, as you unlock levels, you will get more and more information, and also the information that you're getting is getting more and more accurate. So what I do is I simply follow this track now. The first track is always inaccurate. You see the cone on the HunterMate, like the triangle, which tells me roughly where it went. And then you look for the next track. As soon as you start tracking an animal, the arc turns into a dome, an orb like this. This is your currently tracked animal. I have no idea at this point how far away the animal is. And as soon as you read the third track, you will actually get a circle. It'll be either a dotted line or a solid line. I have a solid line here, which means that's roughly where the animal is. So at this point, I would likely go slower and be more prudent. So the tracking skill really gives you more and more information as you develop it. So I will go forward here slowly, hoping that this animal is actually going to call. Because like mentioned, this would be the second way for finding animals when they call in the woods. Lo and behold, you can see the emerging circles here on the HunterMate. The animal just called. Whether or not I followed it, it doesn't matter. When it calls, I can pick up this call on the HunterMate. The better your tracking skill, the more accurate these circles will be. So in the first few levels, as you level up, the first lower levels like level 3, 4, 5 even, the circle is not going to be very accurate. But as you develop further, the higher you get, the more accurate the circle will be. And then certainly if you're up at something like level 10 or so, the circle will be very accurate. You know exactly where the animal called from. The binoculars is standard equipment that you have. This would be the third way to find the animals, by simply looking around and spotting. Now, of course, in this case, I know already where the whitetail roughly is because it called. But you can actually play like this, walking around, especially in large areas, large wide open areas with no trees. And there's our whitetail. When you see animals, you can see information in the upper right corner. Again, I have a lot of information here that you get by increasing your so-called spotting skill. The more you develop this skill, the more information you will get. So in this case, the system tells me the estimated weight and score. This is information that you don't have at early spotting skill levels. So this would be the third way. You walk around, you look around until you see animals. That's a way for finding them. What you can develop rather early, even faster than your tracking skill, is a feeling for what the animal could be just based on the track size. The footstep size will tell you a lot already about whether this could be a male or female. These are rather small footsteps. I would guess this is a female whitetail. As opposed to the footprints here, you can tell there's a visible difference in size, and I would guess in this case it's a whitetail buck. And one last point about these tracks. It is impossible for the game to remember all the tracks from all the animals at all times. Over time, these tracks will disappear. In large reserves, you have a lot of animals. The lifespan of these tracks is a bit shorter. In reserves like here, White Hart Island, the tracks will stay around for roughly 1.5 in-game hours. The reason I'm telling you this is because if you shoot an animal badly and it runs away, you should follow it rather soon. You can wait a while, but then you should follow it. Otherwise you will lose it, because you will simply lose all the tracks. As far as spotting the animals, here's one more example. I have a tower here on Bushrangers Run. And I can come here and I can just look around without even tracking, just by looking around, by spotting. This is a good way for seeing your animals. Let's have a quick and very simplified look at how animals are scored once you harvest them. For more information, I recommend the according Wiki page. I have changed clothes now because in this last part I would like to tell you a little bit about the animal senses and how you can protect against them. Similar to how it is in real life, also here in this game, all the animals have senses. 3 types of senses are implemented. One is that they can hear you, one is that they can see you, and one is that they can smell you. And this is true for all animals except that the bird species cannot smell you actually. They don't have a sense of smell. Now these different characteristics are differently pronounced with all the animals. There can be some that can really hear you well, but maybe not see you as well. And then others will have a very good sight, but can smell you less, and so forth. Unfortunately, we don't have the numbers. We don't have any numbers. Expansive Worlds keeps that a secret. As a hunter, of course, you want to gain advantage over the animals. You want to be stronger than their senses. And there's a few things that you can do in order to overcome their senses. So let's start with their sight. Like said, they can see you. All animals have a rather good sight, and they can see you from far sometimes. And there's different things in this game that will let you protect yourself against the animals seeing you. As you have seen, I've put on some clothes that will protect me specifically here in this area. They're so-called sneaky 3D summer forest camouflage clothes. So they give me protection specifically in summer areas, like this one, Red Feather Falls, and that only in the forest. I can see that protection when I hit the G key and then move my mouse up. I have a camo view, and now you can see everything is bright green, which means I have full protection here. As long as I'm in the trees, in the woods, I have a good protection. Once I move out, the protection will be gone. Then there's other clothes that will give you different protection in other areas. There's also clothes that will give you specifically protection against deer species. And we have a moose cow that called us. She's ahead of us here. And you can see already she's not super sensitive. I can walk towards her, and sooner or later one of her senses will actually make her sense you. In this case, she's not smelling me, not hearing me, and not seeing me yet. If I keep moving around, eventually one of those senses will kick in and the animal will flee. I have just picked up a call from a female black-tailed deer down by the Crater Lake. Hopefully there will be a few of them, so that I can show you a few more things how you can protect against them. One of the things you can do is change stance. Right now I'm walking upright, and of course animals can see you a lot more. You just change stance, you can crouch, you can even crawl on the ground. This will make you more silent, and this will give you less of a silhouette that the animals can see. So knowing these animals are close, I will change my stance to crouching. Tough luck, I was wrong. Only one animal is coming, but still good enough to show some of the things as far as protecting myself. The easiest protection is always if I simply hide. So hiding behind solid objects will not let the animal see me. And when I say solid, I really mean objects that you cannot walk through. I can bump into this tree, but I cannot walk through it. And this is important because there's actually objects that you can walk through, like reeds and bushes and some of the smaller rocks, and they will not give you any protection. The animals will see you. There's also stands available and towers that are installed in some of the reserves where you can hide in. And now we can see the animal sticking the nose in the air and runs away. And this is actually the second sense, which is the smelling. So the animal has smelled me very nicely, demonstrated by sticking the nose in the air, and it ran away. So now that we know how we can protect ourselves against the seeing of the animal, how can we protect against the smelling? Of course, the wind plays an important role. the wind will always basically drive my smell towards the animal, and if I'm upwind of the animal, it will smell me a lot faster. There's this so-called wind indicator which you can use, and it'll tell you where the wind is going. You can see where the cloud's going. This is the direction of the wind. In most of the cases it will be either north. If you pay attention to the arrow on my HunterMate, it's pointing right straight north, or the wind will be slightly northeast. But in most of the cases you can tell even without any wind indicator. If you're upwind of the animals, if the situation just brings it that the animal is downwind of you, what you can do is you can use the scent eliminator. Every use has 30 minutes until it will wear off, and this will actually reduce your scent. The animal will smell you less. Now of course you can take advantage of this knowledge that the wind is blowing north or northeast. So when you lure an animal, you will position yourselves accordingly. So you wouldn't be upwind of it, luring it towards you. You would actually try to move away either east or west in any other direction so that you're maybe even downwind of the animal and it will no longer smell you. Last but not least, there's also the hearing sense. Animals can hear you. You can see this animal here, it's a white-tailed doe. They are rather dull, they have not good senses. Usually she's 120 meters away. And now I'm going to simply run and watch what happens. There she runs. She didn't see me, she didn't smell me, but she certainly heard me. And how you can protect yourself against that is simply do not run unless you really want to gain ground quickly, you want to get quickly to another place. And the second thing that spooks animals when they hear you is when you use guns. Your gunshots will also spook everything around you. Most guns will actually spook everything that you can see on your HunterMate map. So that little map will be cleared. There's very few guns that will not reach the whole area, like the Plinkington rifle or the Grasshopper pistol. What you can do in order to avoid this is using crossbows or vertical bows. These bows have a lot smaller spook radius for all the animals, and you can move around, take them out silently. These weapons are a lot more quiet rather than the guns that will spook everything. There are a couple more factors that will define how sensitive animals are. A high-scoring animal of the same species will be more sensitive than a low-scoring animal, and males are usually more sensitive than females. When you run around, some animals will be scared even if they just barely are on your HunterMate map, and then some others won't care at all. Once you have found the animals and they have not detected you, you can now use your callers to call them towards you. After calling the animals, move away, ideally downwind, and hide either behind a solid object or in a tree stand or any other stand or a tower like this. And as you see, once you call them, you clearly have the advantage. You know where they are, but they do not know where you are. When you harvest the animal, you will get all the specifics. You will see what organs you hit, you will get a score and a harvest value. And then you can take a trophy shot. The goal is reached, you have successfully harvested the animal. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions, feel free to post them below the video and I will try to respond. I hope you enjoyed, never got annoyed. Thank you very much. Stay in touch.